Binge or Bin from The Independent, giving you the lowdown on which TV shows are binge-worthy and which ones are bin-worthy.
This week, we'll be diving into BBC One's The Pursuit of Love and the Underground Railroad from Oscar-winning director Barry Jenkins.
We've also caught up with Season 4 of Fargo on All 4, and Oscar Best Picture winner Nomadland streaming on Star and Disney Plus and now in cinemas. And we'll introduce you to our picks of hidden gems we think you should be watching.
Hey Jacob.
Hi Annabel, I want to talk TV.
You've been watching Underground Railroad. Tell me all about it.
Okay, I have. So The Underground Railroad is a new 10-part limited series on Amazon Prime Video, and it's about a young girl named Cora who tries to break free from a life of slavery in deep South America. It's an adaptation of the Colston Whitehead novel, and I think the thing to note about this show is that it's the latest project from Barry Jenkins, who I'm sure everyone knows is one of the most acclaimed, brilliant directors to have emerged in the last decade. He directed Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk, and he's gone from having directed those two brilliant films to essentially 10 more films. Every episode here is something to be savoured.
There's nothing here but suffering. Pain and suffering.
The lead star, Tuzo Mbedu, a South African actress who you can just tell this is the start of a great career for her. And I should note that this is not an easy watch by any means, but it is a vital watch. I'm pretty sure that this is going to join the ranks, the pantheon of great miniseries, including Band of Brothers, Like the Night Of, which I've mentioned before.
Would you recommend, is it kind of a bingey show or is it one installment every week?
It's hard because it's a new Barry Jenkins project, so you kind of just want to mainline it. But this is something that I would say it does lend itself to taking your time with.
So is it a binge or a bin?
I would say I'd like it if the show's called Binge or Bin, or binge and take your time with it, because this is something that you should really savour. It's not something that you'll kind of want to binge, but it's something that you will, once you watch one, there is no doubt that you're finishing it.
Mm-hmm. What's her name?
So Annabel, you've been watching The Pursuit of Love?
Yes, I have. So The Pursuit of Love is the latest offering from BBC One. It's a really wonderful adaptation of a 1945 novel of the same name by Nancy Mitford. It basically tells the story of an extraordinarily wealthy, extremely privileged upper-class family in the interwar period. It focuses on Fanny and Linda, who are played by Emily Beecham and Lily James, and they are cousins and best friends and confidants. And at the beginning of the series, they start as teens, desperate to escape the suburban ennui of their massive countryside manor and crawl out from under the grip of their madcap patriarch, Matthew, who is Linda's father and played by Dominic West. So really, it's nothing but glorious estates, sex, snobbery, privilege, hunting, shooting, and some really great one-liners. But The Pursuit of Love is frivolous and fun, and it knows what it is, and it doesn't steer away from that. At the heart of the show, you have this glorious female friendship, that kind of intense friendship that comes in adolescence.
I've read the book by Nancy Mitford, and what struck me is how funny it is. It's so funny. And does that translate on screen?
Yeah, it does. And I think a large part of that is thanks to Lily James.
So is The Pursuit of Love a binge or a bin?
It is a binge, definitely a binge. So, the 4th season of Fargo is out.
Yeah, so the new season has arrived pretty much half a year after it was released in America, and we finally got it on this wave of anticipation because the first 3 seasons are pretty great. And we know Fargo is, based on the Coen Brothers film of the same name.
Are you home?
Breakfast and lunch, Margie.
This one feels like a knockoff of the first 3 seasons. They've got a story, but it's just not really worked in the way they wanted it to. And part of the reason of that is because it's so complex.
What are they? Decorative?
A warning to the other rats.
You're watching it and there's so many characters thrown your way that by the 4th episode you forget their names, you forget how they relate to one another. Setting it apart perhaps is the performances. You've got Chris Rock leading it. He's okay considering he comes from comedy background. He does a good job in this role. He's a mafia leader warring with an Italian tribe in Kansas City. But Jason Schwartzman is fantastic as a rival mob leader. But Jessie Buckley, who's risen through the ranks in recent years, plays a deranged nurse called Orietta Mayflower. And it's such a shame that the material around her isn't up to scratch, because she kind of does rank as one of the best Fargo characters to date.
Funny way of talking.
I'm from Minnesota, land of 1,000 lakes.
This isn't as good as what's come before.
And will there be a 5th season, or are they just drawing a line under it?
So Noah Hawley has actually announced that there's going to be a modern day 5th season, which, you know, because it's an anthology format, they can reset it. I just hope they've kind of centered on a story that is more accessible, I guess.
So is it a binge or a bin?
Do you know what? It feels quite liberating to say, but it's a bin. There is so many things to watch out there, and I've just got to say, this doesn't live up to the promise of the first 3 seasons, or indeed the film. Watch the film instead.
If a man's pud need a tug, would this be the place for said tugging?
So we actually haven't covered a film yet on Binge or Bin, but Annabel, you wanted to talk about Nomadland, fresh off its Oscar win for Best Picture. It's available to stream on Star and Disney+, also out in cinemas, which are now reopened. Tell us about Nomadland.
The film absolutely raked it in at last month's Oscars, taking home Best Picture, like you said. Chloe Zhao, the film's writer-director, became the first woman of colour to take home Best Director. Frances McDormand took home Best Actor, which she so deserved. A heads up that this is not a happy watch. It's quite devastating in parts, but it's also really beautiful and tender.
My mom says that you're homeless. Is that true?
No, I'm not homeless. I'm just houseless. Not the same thing, right?
No.
So Nomadland is actually a fictional adaptation of a non-fiction book by Jessica Bruder about this subculture of travelers who, after the 2008 recession, packed up their things, got in an RV, and now travel the country, picking up work when and where it's available. So McDormand plays Fern, who, after losing her husband, her job, and her home, joins this growing subculture. As always, McDormand was brilliant as Fern, but what I found more surprising is how astonishingly good the rest of the film's cast were, considering, and I don't know if you know this, but that they're non-actors. The fact that they're non-actors really lends itself into Chloe Zhao's vision of this lived-in movie, this kind of documentary-esque film that kind of crosses that boundary between film and documentary.
So, Nomadland, binge or bin?
It's a binge. It's obviously a binge.
And I can be certain in my heart, I'll see you again.
So on Binge or Bin, we like to highlight some hidden gems, the shows that have flown under the radar or faded into obscurity over the years that we think you should be watching. I'm going to start with The Americans, which is a show that began in 2013 and ran for 6 seasons. It's an espionage thriller. Now, over the past 25 years, there have been a lot of amazing shows, a lot of stand-up shows that get heralded as such. The Americans is one that doesn't get mentioned nearly as much as it should, despite having serious critical acclaim at the time and winning several awards. At the heart of the show, it's about a married couple who live in America who are actually KGB spies hiding in plain sight. It's got this level of tension because their neighbour, Stan Beeman, is actually an agent hunting down KGB spies. As the seasons progress, it gets more and more tense as the net closes in on them, as it were. The leading duo, played by Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys, and their scenes sizzle.
You're my wife.
Is that right?
And you'd be, not surprised to learn after watching just the first episode that they're actually married in real life. They got together while making the show. Which just infuses just an air of authenticity. Warning, watch with trepidation. It's got some really, really serious episodes that will kind of linger in your memory while you're lying in bed at night. But that's all the more reason to give this show a watch. It's a cut above the rest, and I think it's unfairly not discussed nearly as much as other shows.
Somewhere, I don't exactly know how, something got lost.
My hidden gem is the NBC sitcom Superstore. It's a comedy series created by Justin Spitzer, who was a writer on the hugely successful American remake of The Office for 7 years. And in a lot of ways, it's similar to The Office, mainly that it is also hilarious.
Stop, please!
Sail's over! It's kind of got that workplace dynamic, only not at a paper company. They're at a big box store, so kind of like a stand-in for Walmart or Target. The show is great for so many reasons, but its ensemble cast is definitely at the top of that list. America Ferrera, who you'll obviously recognize from Ugly Betty, leads the cast alongside Ben Feldman, who you'll also definitely recognize, but you probably won't be able to place him. He kind of plays B-list characters, but he is an A-list actor in this. Together, they are so funny, and they kind of have that Rachel Ross, will they, won't they thing going on, but it never dominates the series at all. It never veers into romance category. This is firmly a comedy. While it does stay relevant and topical by bringing in these issues like worker rights and unions and capitalism and identity, it never forgets that it's a sitcom. It's always funny, and it takes the funniness seriously.
What I love about The Office is how it kind of mixes the hilarity with being so heartwarming. Does Superstore have that same mix?
Yeah, it does. It's definitely a wholesome watch. Like, you'll be smiling while you're watching it.
This is your garden variety decongestant. This is crystal meth, okay?
Cheers for watching Binge or Bin. That should be more than enough to keep you going until we see you again next time. Like or comment below and subscribe for more from Independent TV.